Have you ever been involved in a motorcycle crash? Were you at fault in the crash, or was it due to the negligence of another driver or rider? What were some of the contributing factors in that crash? Rarely does a crash occur as a result of just a single factor. Kind of like links in a chain, there are a host of things that have to occur for that crash to take place. Sometimes all we have to do is remove one of those links from the chain and the crash does not happen. This week, let's talk about some of those links and the things that we can do to break those links in the chain. One thing we used to do in the Army was something called an after-action review. Say in the training scenario, we had a mission to attack a convoy that was moving through an area. We would get the mission details, we'd plan for the mission, we'd conduct the mission, and then after it was all said and done, we'd perform an after-action review. In this AAR, we'd talk about what the intended outcome, the actual outcome, things that went right, and things that went wrong in the mission. This was a learning tool that we'd use that made us better the next time we had the same or a similar mission. Often we'd learn things that we could have done differently, which would have helped us have a better outcome. Many riders who are involved in crashes fail to conduct an AAR or something similar that leads them to make the same mistakes again and again, often with the same and sometimes worse results. I had a crash several years ago where I totaled my motorcycle and I broke my collarbone in the process. I was in the far left-hand lane. I had traffic ahead of me that we were approaching a left-hand turn. I had a solid white line directly to my right, and I had about a car and a half gap between me and the car in front of me. I was going with the flow of traffic about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Had a car come up on the right side. They crossed that solid white line cutting in front of me and immediately slammed on their brakes. The pavement where I was at was kind of chewed up at the time because there was a lot of road construction around. I lost traction on the front wheel, locking that tire up and crashing, going down on my right side, thus breaking my right collarbone. So there were several circumstances that led to that crash. Many of them were not in my control. I had no control over the other car. I had no control over them crossing the solid white line. I had no control over them slamming on their brakes right in front of me. But here are some things that I've already mentioned and a few things that I haven't that were under my direct control. I had control over my following distance. I was too close for the circumstances between me and the vehicle in front of me and for the speed that we were all going. I was still a fairly new rider after a long layoff, and I had not performed an emergency stop since the day I'd passed that exercise in the MSF class. When that car in front of me slammed on their brakes, I do what all riders do who haven't practiced emergency braking. I immediately grabbed that front brake and I locked the tire up. This was before ABS was common. I didn't have ABS on the bike, so the bike went over on its right side. I was on my way home after a long day of work, and my mind was focused on being at home and not where I was in the moment. Motorcycle crashes are rarely the result of a single act of negligence by a single person. Crashes are more often the result of several circumstances that are made worse by inattention, bad riding habits, lack of rider skill, or a whole host of other things. And all these things come together at a particular point in the road at a particular time, and the end result is a crash. By doing an after-action review of my crash, I was able to identify several things that were in my complete control that if I had handled them, I would have avoided the crash in spite of the poor driving of the other car that was involved in the crash. Some of the links that can break the chain in a sequence that leads to a crash are a combination of road skills and road strategy, the two things we focus on right here at MCrider. Some road skills that would have broken the chain of events in my crash were emergency braking and swerving. And in this particular case, it would have been an exercise I call a brake and escape. This is where a rider aggressively brakes to the point where they no longer have braking room, then they release the brakes, swerve to the left or the right to avoid the car or the obstacle in front of them. This is an exercise that's found in the field guide, and it's a great tool to have in your riding arsenal If I had performed it properly in my instance several years ago, I would have avoided that crash. Some of the road strategies that would have benefited me were adjusting my following distance based on the traffic and the pavement and conditions that I was riding in. My focus should have been a whole lot better, and if I had been focused on what was going on around me, this would have allowed me to see that car sooner and perhaps adjust to the situation rather than reacting to it at the last second. On the plus side, I was wearing a riding jacket, boots, gloves, and I had a full-face helmet on. I had a significant gash where my head hit the pavement and slide marks all the way down the side of the helmet, but I had no head injury and no other major injuries other than the broken collarbone. The choice to wear gear protected me from much more serious injuries. So you can see that there were multiple links in this chain of events that led to the crash. If I'd broken one, two, or if I had properly handled all of the things that were in my direct control, I have no doubt that the outcome would have been much different. Like the choice to wear the riding gear, some of those links could have been broken before I ever started on the ride home. If I'd continued to develop my road skills and remain focused on good road strategies, that would have helped me avoid that crash, I have no doubt. There is some risk in riding a motorcycle. I believe that risk can be mitigated to a great degree, but it requires some effort on our part. Everyone watching this video has a chance to break some links right now that could help you on your ride tomorrow or your ride next month. Do a Google search and find and sign up for an in-person training class in your area. Even if you have to take the new rider course again, it will make you a better rider, or become a member of MCrider, or do both. Being around like-minded riders in the forums on MCrider and having access to and practicing the exercises in the field guide are a great way to maintain or increase your skills as a rider. It may very well be the difference that breaks the chain of events for you and helps you avoid a crash. Over the years, I've heard from a bunch of riders just like you who've avoided crashes and benefited from their MCrider membership. Plus, your membership allows me to release videos just like this and the hundreds of other road skill and road strategy videos found here on MCrider, on the MCrider YouTube channel, and at mcrider.com, and those are totally free of charge. Thanks for watching this week. Till next week, guys, it's Kevin with MCrider, and I'll see you on the road. See that video on the left of the screen? YouTube hand-selected that video just for you. Click on it, find out why YouTube wants you to watch this MCrider video.